Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural Advanced Thanatology. And I kind of really like that title because of what we were dealing with in this episode, with like all this stuff with like ghosts and death and everything. It was like, alright, let's see how this goes. So, the weakest part of the episode, I believe, was the opening. I just felt that it went on for too long, and that it was just kind of like this same old kind of territory going on. So these kids, one of them's like pretty much egging his friend on, like, stop being a pansy, pretty much. They go in the house for video footage to go viral and everything, and they're like going around, and the one that was called a pansy, Sean, picks up one of the like masks and like, takes it with him. It's like, of course it's not a good idea because it's haunted and all that, and they're like starting to go through, and then his one friend pretty much gets captured by the ghost that like pretty much lobotomizes people, and Sean's able to run away. It just felt like it went on longer than it needed to, and the payoff wasn't as great as some of the other kind of like openings where people get like taken out. So we get to it, and we see Sam and Dean in the bunker. We see Dean pretty much making a PB&J, and Sam's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And he's like, "Sure, breakfast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, saw this thing about this case. Kid said that his friend was taken by a monster, and that's all he's been able to say." It's like, "Oh, that sounds like something else." It's like, "Well, you want to go? Just you and me do a case together?" It's like, "Okay, sure." And he's like, "What about Jack?" He's like, "Well, I'm showing him like old movies like Beastmaster 2, and all that stuff." I'm like, "Ah, nice." It's like, so nerdy. So they go off and kind of do their own kind of case thing. And they kind of get there. We see Sam trying to do these kind of things to like be nice to his brother, letting him be Agent Page and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, "But you always want to be Agent Page." He's like, "All right." So they talk to the mom. Dean goes up to try and talk to Sean, and he hasn't spoken. And he's like trying to talk to him. He's like drawing pictures of the masks and all that, but he's like, "Oh, okay." So they kind of go. They go to the hotel and everything. Sam's trying to get him to go to a strip club, and he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Trying to get you out of your funk, pretty much." And Sam tried to do it was actually pretty cool. And it's like, okay. Then it was like the Clam Diver was the strip club. He's like, "Yeah, it got like 4 out of 5 stars." Like, "Okay, listen, I'll be okay. Bullets, booze, and bacon will get me out of this, no problem." So of course they like go into the hotel room, and we see him kind of like wake up the next kind of morning. Dean's kind of like taken out because he actually did go to the strip club, and he's kind of like wasted, getting like bacon and everything from the bar and all that. And they're trying to get more information on the house, and there's like this doctor who's pretty much cured for kind of everything that people came in with to lobotomize people and then perform experiments on them. So it's like, yeah, that place is probably bad. So as we get into it further into the episode, Sean, of course, sees the doctor again, and then he disappears. Like, oh god, what happened? So Sam and Dean make it out to the place, trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, hey, the masks, they had to rip it off them, so let's do that. So they burn the masks, get rid of the doctor, which then sets off the rest of the ghosts. And the thing is, they can't see any of them, so they're not strong enough to pierce the veil. So Dean comes up with the idea to stop his heart and pretty much kill himself, to then find out where the bodies are so they can burn them all and set all the ghosts free. And up until this point, I'm like, okay, typical kind of episode, nothing kind of really jumping out. I'm not hating it, but I really like the stuff that they're doing with Sam and Dean, but there hasn't really been anything done with the kind of case of the week to kind of like make it into something special until we get to this point. We get Dean pretty much dead. We see him like walking around. A Reaper's like, "Oh, I'm here to guide you to the next life." I was like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool. I'm Dean, whatever. I gotta go ask these guys some things. Don't worry about it." And like the Reaper's like, "Oh god, Dean Winchester." She goes off pretty much into this weird room and says like, "Dean Winchester's in the veil." And it's like, okay. And then we get to Dean talking with Sean, and he's like, "Listen, I need to find out where he put the bodies." And he's like apologizing to the dude. Dean's really down and out. This is more pronounced. It feels like he doesn't have faith in anything, doesn't believe in anything, and he's like really hit hard that he couldn't save this kid. He said he should have tried to push him harder to try and talk to get him to tell him what was wrong and everything. It's like, crap. So, of course, he like bounds back up to Sam. He's like, "Listen, do it, Sammy. I got it," and everything. And he gets injected with the thing that was supposed to like restart his heart, but Then, of course, we hear someone else, and we see that it is Billy. But she's vastly different. She's got a different kind of outfit, and she's got the scythe and everything. And, of course, it's like, holy crap. Oh my god. It's like, oh shit. Oh shit. It's like, what's going to happen with this? And we find out kind of more information about what's going on. And Dean's, of course, freaked out, and she's like, we need to talk. And she stops time, and it's like, how are you here? He's like, well, funny about you talking about the finality of death since you're a Winchester. And she's like, well, there's lots of rules. One of them is you kill one incarnation of death, the next Reaper to die becomes death. Now, I liked how this explained that Billy became this new incarnation of death. My thing is, timeline-wise, that rule's kind of like screwbally, because death being killed happened when they unleashed the darkness. Billy didn't die until like last season. So there was about like a long stretch of time where there really, to our knowledge, was no incarnation of death, because Billy was the last Reaper to die, and it's like, it just kind of messes it up. Not messes it up, but it's like kind of muddied. It's like, well, what happens if there is no incarnation of death? I kind of wanted that a little bit explored more, because it was like, oh god, would that mean the Reapers could do whatever they want? I like that they brought Billy back, and they did an interesting turn, making her death and having her kind of have to change her outlook by becoming death. But it's just like, okay, so if an incarnation of death is killed, do they kind of like hold a summit like, we the Reapers have to kill one of us, so that way we got a new incarnation of death? That would be kind of weird. But it just opened up those possibilities. It's just like, okay, what? A little bit of continuity kind of fruffle-wuffle doodah, and it's like, okay. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it's kind of like, okay. It's kind of a big thing, but I'm glad we got a new death, and Billy is the new death. So, of course, it's like, well, we need to kind of like talk about what's going on. And we see her like having the scythe, having the ring and everything. So she takes him to her reading room, as she calls it, and we see that's where that Reaper was. And of course she's like, alright, I kind of need you to tell me about what's going on, because I've heard on the interdimensional street that you've been like slipping between worlds. And it's like, I thought you were supposed to know everything. It's like, well, imagine having this little blind spot. I kind of want to do that. And it's like, alright, I got something you want. What's in it for me? And she's like, what? Well, I want you to move on all the ghosts from the Meadows house and everything. And it's like, huh, that's a pretty good choice for Dean to do. And it's like, she's like, okay, done. She sends the Reaper. She gets all the ghosts out of the house and everything. It's like, wow. And he's like, how do I know I can trust you? She's like, well, listen, I'm not the one that usually breaks giant cosmic bargains left and right, so, okay, fair enough. And then, of course, Dean's like, well, it was Lucifer, son, Jack. He made a little rip, and of course, the place isn't like Candyland or anything, so I don't know why you care. It's like, because I do, because this whole multiversal thing is like a house of cards, and one little thing, boop, could do it all down. And she doesn't want a big dumb Winchester to do something. And he's like, yeah, that sounds about us. And she's like, you've changed and everything. It's like with the bargain. You could have bargained yourself back to being alive and everything, but no, you went with getting the ghosts free and everything. And it's like, that's not the Dean Winchester that I kind of know and love. And just like kind of noticing how defeated he's like. He's like, well, maybe you're not that guy anymore. Always the guy who thinks he'll win no matter what. And all that, like, he can win no matter what, no matter kind of what's going on. And she's like noticing that change. It's like, wow, okay. He's like, I don't matter. It's like, huh. And he starts delving into it. It's like, I couldn't save my mom, I couldn't save Cass, I couldn't save a scared little kid. And Sam tries to fix it, and I keep dragging him down. And she's like, you really believe that? You want to die. And seeing her kind of come to that realization is like, wow. And she's like explaining what's on the notebooks and everything on the shelves. Like, this is every way that you die. like a heart attack, burned by a red-haired witch, stabbed by a ghoul in a graveyard, and she's like, which one's right? Depends on you and the choices that you make. And unfortunately, none of these say that you die today. And he's like, what, come again? And she's like, well, now we get to see her kind of change. And she's like, well, since I got this, I see a kind of bigger picture now. And I see you and your brother are important. You have work to do. That's all you need to know. And she starts telling him more, like, trust me, having my eyes open to the necessity of humans, especially Winchesters, not that I don't really like saying that. And she's like, listen, what I say for you is to keep living. And then Dean's like kind of surprised by this and says, well, hey, I need to know my mom. And then of course Billy's done and sends him back to his body before he can finish it. And it was kind of cool to see that because Billy saw the Winchesters as this kind of affront to like the cosmic order, keep coming back, screwing with things, pretty much breaking toys willy-nilly. Now granted, we have more insight to the Winchesters and all of their like trials and tribulations, and seeing her kind of come to terms with that is a pretty cool character development for her. And seeing Dean kind of get to the point where we've been with him for like 13 seasons, and seeing him just, we've gotten to a point where he keeps losing more people, and we just hit that kind of break. And Cass, well, granted, it was Cass and his mom, but I think the Cass bit was the kind of thing that kind of broke it to it, because he was looked at as kind of like a brother and another Winchester, and having that just kind of like, it has him questioning if what he is doing is right, if all of the work that he's doing is worth it, if losing all these people and doing all these things is worth it. It's like, wow. And seeing Billy kind of understand him kind of going through that, but still seeing that him and his brother need to do this work to keep everything going on. It's kind of a cool thing to see. So, of course, he gets back, and we see Sean's mother dealing with the fallout of everything, and at first we think that Dean's gonna, of course, lie to Sam again. But Sam presses, and Dean comes in telling about Billy and everything and about death, and I think that's I know it's a kind of small thing, but it's a kind of big thing. Usually we get into the patterns of something happens and a Winchester lies about it. Granted, it creates drama and everything, but I like that. We still have that drama, and Dean has moved enough to be like, you know what, it's not worth lying about. I need to tell him about this. And it's like, wow, that's a kind of big moment. So, tells him about everything, and he gets into it with Sam. He's like, listen, I would take the hit, I'd keep on fighting, believe that what we were doing was making a better place and everything, but now with Mom and Cass, I just don't know. And he's just like, I just need a win. I just need a damn win. And just seeing him just like express that need and in that way was just like a really kind of powerful thing for him to do. And I think he kind of needs to come to terms with that, because Jack, of course, does represent a kind of wild card thing where he can be really good or really evil. But that's not really something that is different that the Winchesters have to deal with on a daily basis. The thing is what them protecting and helping Jack means with what they have lost to get to the point where he is now in their lives. Especially losing Crowley, Mom, and Cass. It's like he sees their loss when looking at him. And that's the biggest thing that hurts him. I don't believe it's truly like he's gonna be completely evil. It's more of what I've lost to have to deal with you in my life now. It's like, shit, that's a big thing. And I hope he kind of comes to terms with that. I think he kind of sees that because of what we've been seeing with Jack going on the excursions. So, of course, we see Sam and Dean kind of leave. We see the mom dealing with the death of her son Sean and all that. And then they're just kind of driving at night. Sam's kind of asleep, and the cell phone rings. Dean answers it and looks really shocked. And I'm thinking, oh, could it be this win that it would be Cass? And of course they drive up and they stop at a payphone, and it's Cass. He turns around and seeing Dean just like shocked and see Cass's face and everything. It's like, no, This is the win the Dean needed. And it's like, yay! That was really kind of cool. I would have liked it for them to end on a hug, but hopefully we'll get that hug kind of later on. But it was a really cool moment. But it's also important to note, Cass called from a payphone. That kind of leads me to believe that he does not have his angel powers, or he is in a state that his angel powers could potentially be in flux. Don't know about that yet. We don't know exactly what Jack, we don't know if he's quite fully resurrected as an angel, or if Cass was like woken up in the empty, and what's going on with that. Well, that's hopefully what they'll delve into the next couple episodes and everything. But it was just cool to have Cass back in the group, and it's gonna be cool to see how Cass is gonna interact with Jack and what's gonna be happening on with that, and him being introduced in the dynamics. So it's like, yes, can't wait to see what happens next. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.